What's up, guys? If you can't tell, I'm in a little bit of a different location, hence the Georgia stuff behind me. But I've been wanting to make a video on this for a while, and well, for a few days since I saw Gladiator 2. It finally came out, guys. You know, if you've been watching my channel, I've been talking about this movie a lot over the past few months. Took a little bit of a break, but I'm back, so who cares? So let's get straight into it. Some of the things I liked about the movie. I really liked all the action. Denzel did a great job. I really enjoyed Joseph Quinn as the Emperor. And then the other Emperor, I don't know his name. He did great too. Pedro Pascal wasn't really doing it for me. I haven't seen a performance by him that's just 5 stars. Then again, I haven't watched The Last of Us. But I heard that's that performance for him. Some other things, the action is great. The CG looks great. And it was overall just great. There was this amazing scene with Denzel and the 2 emperors. You know what scene I'm talking about if you've seen this movie, because it's just a 5-star scene. It's amazing. Denzel plays such a great character. I'm not gonna spoil anything. I'm gonna try to make this spoiler free, but I'll give you a spoiler warning if I say anything spoilery. The Queen did a really good job. So did Paul Mescal. I think that's how you say his name. He did great. This is the first role I've ever seen him in, so I wasn't expecting a ton, but I really enjoyed him. And of course the action's great. It's Ridley Scott. It's Gladiator. It's hard to compare the action to anything else. The story was pretty solid. There were some things lacking in it, but that's where I'm gonna get into the bad here. And there's a lot, sadly. And this, if you saw my Letterboxd review or my out of theater reaction, I gave this movie a 4.5 stars. I said it's the #1 movie of the year. I said, what else did I say? I said it might crack the top 100. It's not any of that. It's more like a 3.5, 4-star movie. The baboons, the apes, they're ridiculous. They're like mutant monkeys. Sharks in the Coliseum. How do you even get sharks in the Coliseum? At soccer in the Roman Empire doesn't make a lot of sense. Actually, somebody Googled it for me, and he said that there was a game like soccer invented, but there were no rules, like no official rules yet. I don't know, it's still a little out there to me. The whole his wife being murdered thing, that's not a spoiler, by the way, that's in the trailers. That's a little ridiculous. It's just trying to do the verse. And the whole first act is basically shot for shot the original, which I'm not complaining too much about that, because I love that original movie. That's like my number 6 on my top 100. And honestly, I'm rewatching it right now. One problem I did have with the movie is them calling him Maximus's son. That doesn't make any darn sense. So if you've seen the original, go back and watch it. He's not his son. His son, he's like Maximus's real son, is the same age as Lucius. Explain that. That doesn't make any dadgum sense. There is nothing in the original. There's a line in this second movie that says nobody knows who Lucius's real father is. That's not true at all. His father died. They literally say it in the first movie. I'm getting a little worked up, but that's just a really big plot hole in this movie. Like, huge plot hole. Some of the stuff wasn't very interesting. Like, Pedro Pascal doesn't get a very interesting plot line, and a lot of it feels a little rushed. And the time, you can really feel the time on this movie for a 2.5 hour, maybe 2 hours, 45 minutes. They could have shaved 15 minutes off, and it still would have been a pretty solid movie. I do think this movie is pretty solid. I don't think it was awful. A lot of people are hating on this movie too much, but Joseph Quinn holds the movie up. I heard somebody say he was overacting. I disagree. Honestly, I think he gave a maybe Oscar-worthy performance in this. And so did Denzel. Anything else? It's been a couple days since I've watched this, so I'm trying to just remember. It's been a while. The ending reminded me a little bit of Shrek the Third. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Who really thinks we need to settle things this way? You're telling me you just want to be villains your whole lives?
But we are villains. It's the only thing we know.
Didn't you ever wish you could be something else?
Well, it's easy for you to say. You're not some evil enchanted tree.
Oh, you morons! Don't listen to him! Attack them!
What Steve's trying to say here is it's hard to come by honest work when the whole world's against you.
Right. Thanks, Ed.
Okay, fair enough. You're right. I'm not a talking tree. But you know, a good friend of mine once told me that just because people treat you like a villain, or an ogre, or just some loser, it doesn't mean you are one.
Oh no! Yeah, it reminded me a little bit of that. Some of the speeches in this are just, it's trying so hard to be the original, and it can't be the original. They should have gone on and tried a little bit harder to make it its own movie. And Ridley Scott came out and said he has ideas for a third Gladiator movie. I made a short on that a while ago, and I said that's a great idea. I'm gonna go back on that. That's an awful idea. This movie, I enjoyed it. I actually really liked it. Unlike a lot of people, I really enjoyed this movie. I just loved that first film too much. It's hard not to love this one. But don't make a Gladiator 3. You tried your hand at Gladiator 2. It went so-so. I think it's making decent amount of money, but probably shouldn't release it the same weekend as Wicked, which I'm going to see later this week. I'll make a short review on that. But yeah, it's a little like, why are we trying to milk this franchise? It's not even a franchise at this point. Why are we trying to make this a franchise? I don't understand. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But that's basically all I really have to say about this movie. I thought I'd make this short and sweet. Oh, one last problem I had with the movie, and I had this problem with Inside Out too. The score. That first score is so iconic. Maybe the greatest Hans Zimmer score of all time. It's actually probably right behind The Lion King for greatest Hans Zimmer scores. And Hans Zimmer didn't do this score. And it was just alright. And it was the guy that did Narnia. And it sounded like Narnia. It was alright. I didn't love it. Oh, man. But that first score is so great. Like I said, this is like the Inside Out 2 thing, where that first score is so dadgum iconic, and when you use little to none of it in this... Oh, wait, really quick, one amazing thing that I really liked is that opening sequence, the opening credits. That might be a 5-star opening credits. I haven't seen an opening credit scene in a long time in the movie theater. Actually, I don't think I've ever seen it in a movie theater. I'm gonna be straight up honest. That was awesome. The whole art style, just re-showing the first film. I wish they used a little bit of the music from the original. That's a big problem I have. But that opening sequence was amazing. I loved every second of it. Well, besides the music, of course. But it was great. But then we get straight into them trying to recreate the whole hand thing from the first with him touching the grain, but he's like lifting grain, and it looks kind of stupid. And the whole first 10 minutes are kind of rushed into a battle scene. Because, like, if you go back and watch the first, it might be a solid 10 minutes before they start fighting. Because he comes out, he does the grain thing, he's imagining back home, the harvest, and then he's talking for about 10 minutes, getting ready for the battle. Then they fight the barbarians, and it's epic, and it's awesome. No, not in this movie. The first 2 minutes are set up for this battle, which I don't even know where this guy's from. Like, I don't know. It's a little stupid. Also, another minor gripe I have, he looks nothing like the kid from the original. And the kid from original is still acting. It didn't make a lot of sense not to just cast him. He probably could have gotten jacked for this role. That kid in the original was in the Weird Al biopic. He could have done this. He could have. They could have paid him enough to do this. But they didn't. But Paul Mescal did a great job. Yeah, that's just a very minor gripe I have, is about that whole entrance and the whole, yeah. I think that's just about everything I have to say about this movie. I'm not going to rewatch it about 10 times like I said I was. It's not the absolute masterpiece I wished it was. And they shouldn't make a Gladiator 3. I'm just going to be straight up honest with y'all. Also, go Vols. Just want to say that because we got that behind me. So go Vols. And good night.